How's it going, everyone? It's Johnny Beard here with another episode of the Streamer Stories podcast. My guest today is a fellow bearded geek. It's Bearded Geek Live. Here he is.
Hello.
It's about time. It's about time. The two beardos having a chat.
Yeah, I mean, both got some epic fur on our faces.
But yeah,
we could breed them together.
Yes.
Become one giant beard.
Oh, I'd love to. One day, man. One day. You know, opposite sides of Wales, aren't we? But one day.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's such a fan of Bearded Geek Live, man. I'm such a fan of you. You're an awesome streamer, and thanks for being here, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
So, before we get any further ahead, do you want to just introduce who you are to everyone who will be watching this?
Right. Bearded Geek Live. Everyone calls me Beardo. I'm a horror streamer. I was a shooter streamer. I didn't like what I was seeing. Watched my VODs back, just not happy with how I was portraying myself as a streamer. I was angry and shouting and raging. That's not who I am in real life. So I binned it and I made the switch to horror. And well, you've seen what it's done for the channel, and the growth we've had has been phenomenal. And at the moment, there's nothing I like better than streaming. I actually detest going to work now because it's like I could be streaming now.
Oh man, oh yes, it's so good to see the organic growth, man. It's so good, and we will definitely talk about all of that later on. But we start from the beginning. We talk about childhood and games. Were you a gamer when you were a child?
Yeah. I don't know if you know how old I am, but I'm 40 years old, so...
What? Get out of here.
Yeah. Oh. My first experience with gaming was the old Atari with like the wood trim on there. Okay. And it was basically games like Pong, Frogger, Leaper, stuff like that, you know, the square stuff. It was my dad's. He had silver switches on the front of it to turn it on, and nice. You had two different types of controllers. You had one with a wheel on it that you spun, and then a joystick with a red button. And that was my introduction to gaming at a very young age, and I lived on the thing. What I was about 4 or 5, and my dad bought me an Atari. It was a games machine, but you put a tape in.
Okay, yeah.
It would make an awful sound for 90 minutes while it played through this tape, and that's what loaded the game. And there was a game called Ghostbusters based on the movie. It was the worst game ever played, ever made. It's renowned on these lists, but I loved the thing. I played it all the time just because I was a massive Ghostbusters nerd when I was a kid. Yeah, I still am now. But yeah, that was... yeah, from a very young age, I've always played video games.
Nice. Oh wow. The Ghostbusters, yeah, that's on those lists, isn't it? Like, it's not far behind like E.T.
Yeah, it's always in the conversation with those games. Yeah, that's one of the worst things. But I loved it. I absolutely loved that game.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was impossible. You couldn't complete it, but I loved it. Sit there with my my parents bought me the Ghostbusters Proton Pack, the blue one with a little thing, like a plastic thing to pretend it was the laser. I used to sit there with the Proton Pack on playing Ghostbusters on this old Atari.
Oh man, that's so freaking cool though. I mean, that's the thing about playing games as a kid. You know, we don't care. We don't think good games, bad games, do we? You know, and some of our favorite memories might have been like critically panned games. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many bad games I played as a kid and loved them, but you know, it was more as a kid. It was more about losing yourself, and I wish I could like go back to that feeling because it in my head I was a Ghostbuster. It wasn't I was playing a Ghostbusters game. I was a Ghostbuster, and your imagination would fill in what the game couldn't do. I mean, now graphics are in a different world, but there was just something about being a kid playing those games where you were just in the story and imagining being with Peter and the rest of them. It was just crazy, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Did you play any of the other Ghostbusters games over the years as well? Because they've brought out a few over the years, to be fair.
I I haven't played that many. I played one on the Xbox that's just had like a HD remake, and I think I've completed it 3 or 4 times just because I love the Ghostbusters, and it's the original cast, and the script was meant to have been Ghostbusters 3, so
right. I never knew that.
with the dimension hopping and stuff, which was partly what the original Ghostbusters was going to be. They were originally going to be in the future and jumping through dimensions, but they didn't have the budget for it. And this game was basically the script for Ghostbusters 3. So, yeah, I've played that, and there's a new one coming out that I'm probably going to play just because it's Ghostbusters. But apparently it's a lot like Dead by Daylight, and I hate Dead by Daylight.
Okay. I'm surprised that's not going to be the next tie-in. I can see that happening at some point down the line.
Yeah.
So from the Atari then. So where did you go from there? Did you go down the Nintendo route, Mega Drive?
I was Mega Drive. I had an uncle that is only like 2 weeks older than me. He was Nintendo. I was Mega Drive. So weekends we just alternate. I'd stay with my grandparents quite a lot. I'd pack up the Master System, take that down. We'd play Duck Hunt on his Nintendo, and then we'd switch over to play Sonic the Hedgehog or Wonder Boy or whatever we had. Because he was a Mario nerd, I was a Sonic the Hedgehog nerd. He was like, even though we played each other's consoles, it was like, I'm better than you because I've got a Sega Mega Drive and I've got Sonic the Hedgehog. Mario's better. No, it's not. You'd end up having full-on fights over it. Like, now you got Marvel versus DC, which is better. Back in the day, it was Sega or Nintendo, and I was always a Sega guy. Loved the Master System, Mega Drive. I can't remember the first one that had the disc, but I remember getting that.
Let's Sega Saturn.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I didn't have a Nintendo myself up until the Nintendo 64, which will probably be when it comes to your favourite video game question. That is definitely my favourite game of all time was on the Nintendo 64, and that's why I bought it.
Nice. Okay, well, let's talk about it. So what is your favourite game of all time?
It is GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64.
Of course. Yes.
Absolutely my favourite game of all time. It was the first time, or the first game I remember where 4 people could play at once. We'd all pile into whoever's house because we all had Nintendos. We'd all put the big head mode on. We'd all have paintball mode on. And it'd just be carnage. And that's probably why I loved games like Call of Duty and stuff for a long period. All comes back to that game, and us guys just, we were teenagers. Everyone else was out sort of drinking and stuff, and we were all in each other's houses playing GoldenEye. Absolutely loved it.
Oh man, yeah.
The social aspect of it, the silliness of it, and back then that game looked so good.
Yeah.
I mean, polygon heads now, but it was so good, such a good looking game. I loved the story of it, and then I loved the sort of 4-on-4 all sat around with wired controllers trying to nudge you because the TV's only this big.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy people, I hate to say it, but younger people, should we say, don't realise how much of an impact that game had. That was one of the most important games ever made.
Yeah.
I remember I wasn't a Nintendo kid at all. I was a PlayStation kid, and I remember hearing all about GoldenEye and how good it was. Like, it didn't matter if you were a James Bond fan or not. I mean, again, I wasn't interested in James Bond, but it doesn't matter. It was one of the best games to play ever. It was so good.
I think it was the first game where 4 of you could play at the same time.
Yeah.
And like against each other, and we'd have competitions in people's houses. Like on a Saturday morning, we'd all pile into whoever's parents were out, plug the Nintendo in, and there'd be about 8 or 12 people in the house, and you'd be like, all right, so-and-so's dead first, next round they sit out, and it was incredible. Absolutely loved it. We've got a Nintendo 64 here still, and I'd love to be able to wire it up and play it on stream.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. Go back just slightly then. So you mentioned Sonic. I mean, you might have noticed, I'm a huge Sonic nerd. I mean, what was your favourite Sonic Mega Drive game?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah.
I loved Sonic 2. I really enjoyed all of the Sonic games, but Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like the music for it I remember my mum being like, "Can you get off that level because the music is frying me?" And it was Chemical City.
Yeah.
And I can, as soon as I've said it,
Yep.
the music is in my head for it. I can remember the music for all the maps. It was absolutely incredible game. And then there'd be me and my uncle would be arguing over who was going Tails because none of us wanted to be Tails.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, like, fly.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, at the time, they tried, didn't they? But it wasn't very good two-player. Single.
No,
the versus mode wasn't bad.
I mean, it wasn't taking it in turns for a change. I remember that being quite a big thing. We could both play at the same time instead of taking it in turns like the older Mario games where you could be Mario or Luigi, but you'd take it in turns to do a level after each other. Whereas Sonic the Hedgehog 2, yeah, he was just a special place in my life for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And like, I'm the eldest in my family of all my cousins and stuff. We'd all go to my grandparents, and I'd take the console down, and we'd all sit there playing the Sonic games. Yeah, but Sonic 2 was my favourite. As much as I love the character of Knuckles, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, like the soundtrack, is just ingrained in my brain. I don't think it'll ever go anywhere.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good game. Have you had a chance to see the 2 Sonic movies yet?
I still haven't seen any of them.
No, they are good. Well, the first one's good.
Video game movies, they tend not to be very good. I got really excited about Mortal Kombat, the new one, and no.
I thought it was okay. I actually preferred the original to it. But,
yeah, but I think I prefer the original, but only because of the nostalgia.
Yeah, maybe.
Of watching that film and then me and my brother kicking the absolute shit out of each other after, because that was it. We were ninjas, and yeah, we had proper fights over Mortal Kombat.
Good times. Good stuff. I mean, how much into the Mortal Kombat games are you as well then?
I haven't even played the new one.
No.
Mortal Kombat was a big thing. My mum worked in a video shop, and there was an arcade on the side of it, and there was a wrestling game in there. RoboCop 2, the video game, Street Fighter 2, and Mortal Kombat. Nice. And Mortal Kombat was always my go-to game. The wrestling one was old, like really old. It was like Demolition and Legion of Doom were in it. And I put a lot of 10 pences into that game.
Yeah. Oh, good times.
But Mortal Kombat was like the big one, and then it was more because of the blood, because we'd never seen blood like that and gore in games, and we'd all be trying to do these finishing moves just to get the finish him, and then just laugh. And my mum, bless her, she's quite a strict. My parents were quite strict, but because of where I grew up, it was quite rough. And my mum came in and saw me do the spinal cord rip. She was like, "Right, that's it. You're not playing that game anymore. I didn't realise that was in it."
Oh no, it was such a secret though, wasn't it? It was the world's best kept secret at the time until obviously it wasn't anymore.
Yeah. I bought it on the Mega Drive, and I had to buy a new controller because it had 6 buttons to play it. My mum was like, "You're not playing that on this TV." Why? It's violent. And then my dad was like, "Oh, there's an option on there to turn the blood and gore off." No, don't tell her. But as soon as she was out of sight, turned it all back on.
Yeah. Oh, good times, good times. So Mega Drive, and then you went to Nintendo 64. Were you ever on the spectrum for PlayStation at all?
I had the PlayStation, the PlayStation 2, then the PlayStation 3. I never got the 4 because by then I was Xbox. But by that point I was like, I had both consoles. I still played the N64. But I had the PlayStation. Then when Xbox brought theirs out, I had that. It was just anything to game because there was the exclusivity of certain games. I had to have both consoles, and quite lucky for me, my parents were in a position where they were. My dad was a gamer, or still is a gamer. I mean, my dad's got a decent PC and he's got all his VR set up, and because I want to try Phas on VR, but I've got to go to my dad's to do it.
Oh.
But yeah, my dad's a gamer. He's still a gamer, so I was quite lucky because I'd get these consoles for Christmas. I remember one Christmas I could hear this really annoying music coming from downstairs. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" It was my mum and dad playing columns until 3 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve, just making sure it worked before we opened it. But yeah, I've always had consoles and as many of them as I can get, and then obviously kids of my own and stuff, and then I couldn't put the money into it, so I made the choice and just the Xbox 360, the Xbox One. I upgraded that to a 1S, and then that's the last console I bought. And obviously, I'm PC now. My Xbox is in the living room, donated to the wife. She likes to play platform games on it.
Fantastic. I was going to mention about kids of your own in terms of, do you play games with them? What type of father are you with games?
My son and me used to play a lot of shooters together. He taught me to play CS:GO. Portal on the PlayStation. Yeah, me and him played a lot of games. Daughter had no interest in gaming at all, none at all. But now she's into Call of Duty. Obviously, something that I no longer play. But I do play off stream. So I've played Call of Duty with my daughter, but she's infuriatingly bad at it. So
I was about to say, so are you one of those parents that like, because I've got 3 kids of my own, and they're always like, "Dad, can you do this level for me?" And I'm like, I don't know. Do I do it? Do I not? You know, it's the get good part of me. Is like, go on, do it yourself. But then
yeah, I used to. My kids are adults now. They're 22 and 18, so
yeah,
they can't think of anything more embarrassing than me trying to help them. They help me with games now, you know.
Yeah, it's about time. They got a lot of hours to make up for that.
Yeah.
Oh, good times, man. Good times. So, is there any other memories you can think of growing up that come to mind? So, I mean, the column story is brilliant. To be fair, I love columns.
I don't know, what was the game called? There was a game called Flashback, and it was like really hard, like one of the hardest games on the It was on a Mega Drive, I believe, and they tried to do it like a 3D character model, and you could move the arm out for the gun, and it was so difficult. And I remember being quite young trying to play it. I don't think I ever got off the first level, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, I just got woke up to this blood-curdling scream, and it was my dad had gone so far and then died, and he lost the first ever rage quit I'd ever experienced at that point. It was my dad playing this game at like 3 o'clock in the morning, because me and my brother would play them all day, and then my dad would play all in the night then before sleep for work and stuff. And that game was so difficult. Really good looking game. I've tried to find it since. There's no way I can get my hands on it to play it, but I remember it being so hard. And it's like, if you go back now and try to play those games, they are so much harder than I remember. Like, I used to fly through Sonic the Hedgehog games. Now I can't. I don't know whether it's like my hand-eye coordination isn't what it used to be, or I don't know what it is. My reflexes are slowing, but I can't play the old games like I used to.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, as for that story, yeah, either the 3 o'clock in the morning, my parents, because I didn't know what this music was, and I'm just like, that is annoying as hell. What is it? And yeah, it was columns. My parents, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Me and my brother got up. We were quite young, and we got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to open Christmas presents, still believing in Santa and all that sort of stuff. And looking back, my parents were dying that day. Like, they'd been up all night playing this game.
Oh man, but it has such a distinctive soundtrack, columns. I do remember it. Like, there's only 3 songs, I think, in the whole game. Yeah. Good. Oh man, yeah, I can imagine. Did you play online games at all? Did that come into the equation when you were in your teens and 20s?
Not. Obviously, the online game didn't come in until I was an adult. And I had, obviously, we had kids quite young, so not really. Not until Black Ops 1, Call of Duty Black Ops 1. That was when I started playing online and was like, wow, I can play with the boys that I grew up with. And that was, Black Ops 1 was the first time I ever played online. My dad still refuses to play online, doesn't like it, hates it. He wants to play single player campaigns. But for a long time, that's all I ever played online was Call of Duty games. I didn't really play anything else online. Which is bizarre now, considering what I do on my days off.
Funny how life turns around, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, good times. So you mentioned your favorite game of all time. One of the other questions I was going to ask was if you were stuck on a remote island and you can only have 3 games to play for the rest of your life. You can have online and DLCs and all that jazz, but you're stuck on that island for the rest of your life. What would those 3 games be and why?
3 games. Oh, definitely GoldenEye. I'd have to just for the old time's sake. GoldenEye, Phasmophobia, because of how much I love that game and the constant updating of it and everything.
Yeah.
And for old time's sake, it'd have to be the Sonic collection.
Yeah, that's fine. You can have it. Well, I was going to say you could do like the Sega Mega Drive collection with like 40 games on it or something like that.
Yeah, I've got one of those control pads just plugs into the TV with all the old games on it, like Streets of Rage and stuff. Me and Cage were up until like I did a 24-hour stream, and me and Cage were playing Streets of Rage at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just trying to keep awake. Good times.
Oh, shout out to Cage, awesome guy. Streets of Rage is so cool. It's one of my all-time favorites as well.
And they've just announced they're making a movie.
What? Have they?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. What?
The creators of John Wick are making a Streets of Rage movie.
Like, it was always one of those games when I was a kid growing up thinking they've got to make this into a movie, and they never did. And I thought that time had gone, but wow. Okay. Interesting. Well, I mean, Sega's having a huge regeneration at the moment, isn't it? It's like a huge revival, even.
The Sonic movies have definitely brought them back to the forefront, and I'm glad because I was a Sega kid. I absolutely loved the Sega. So yeah, it's nice to see. It's good to see that it's not all lost, and they're not just a games producer again. Now, they had the consoles, and then they were just doing games for consoles. Maybe it can get them back into the forefront somewhere. Maybe they could do another console. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
No, I don't see why not. If it's done correctly, I think it's hard, isn't it? Because the competition's so fierce now. But yeah, why not? But yeah, just go back to the Sonic versus Mario rivalry. Like, they must have sunk. Their hearts must have sunk when they made Mario versus Sonic at the Olympics. I think they must have been like, oh, okay.
What has it become?
Yeah, there's Nintendo going, ha ha ha. Yeah, never mind. So you mentioned you're playing a bit of Call of Duty offline. Did you say? Is there anything else you're playing offline?
Not really. Like, because I work such long hours. I work 12-hour shifts. So there's no way I can game after work. I'm just too tired, and it's 12 hours on my feet. So then when I'm off, I stream for 6 hours. I play Call of Duty now and again offline, and then I'll look at some indie games that I want to play on stream, but I'll play them off stream first, because I've basically bought so many games and then put them on stream to play them for the first time. I'm like, oh, this is crap. What am I going to do now? So I try to vet the games first. I'd love to have more time and be able to play, GTA and stuff like I used to, but I haven't got the time. I did stream GTA at one point, but oversaturated games. There's so many huge streamers. I may as well have just played it on the living room TV as opposed to on stream. So if I do get a bit of time, I'd like to go back and play some of the other games stuff. Like, I've got the Xbox in there. I've got all these games that I've barely played, like the Avengers and Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Stuff that I wanted to play. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean, an Assassin's Creed with Vikings in it, and I played it for about 2 hours. And I'm like, I really want to play that game. But I don't want to stream it because it's not something that works for my streaming, because I get so invested in the storyline. People are just going to be looking at the top of my head when I'm like glued.
Yeah, man. No, it's true. It's certain games that translate better to streaming, isn't it? And not only that, but streamers, like you said, with Phasmo being a huge thing for yourself right now. And not but that divide between playing games for yourself offline and then streaming them online, it's really tough to find the balance. I
Yeah.
found, and then if you're in the streaming game like we are, sometimes the offline just pushes aside, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely has. I used to buy a lot of games, and now very like AAA titles, I rarely buy them anymore because when they come out, they're broken. They don't work. The Avengers didn't work when I first bought it. I mean, Cyberpunk, I was so excited about that game. I played it for about 40 minutes. I was like, this is crap. This isn't what they said. This isn't what they promised. This is garbage. And I've wasted 60 quid, I'd like to go back to it because I had all the updates and they've sort of fixed it now. But, a year after you've spent 60 quid, it's just not good enough. The AAA game industry at the moment just isn't doing it for me. Call of Duties are coming out broke, and it's just not what I'm into anymore. And then the other side to that is these indie games with 2 or 3 people working on them. Something gets reported as broken, they fixed it by the next time you play it. Or like the other night, I'm playing Phasmo. Somebody messages me on stream, "You need to restart your game. There's been an update." I'm like, "Oh, it's only going to be a few little things." And this update it took seconds for us. For them, it must have taken them. They must have stayed up all night just to fix broken doors. But then they changed the maps, and there's more care and love in these small indie games than these corporate huge games that they're releasing unfinished. And I don't know any other industry or any other place in the world where you can buy something that's not working or not fixed and be like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll fix it at some point." Well, no.
Yeah. No, exactly. And like you mentioned, the £60 games now, like, they're going up, if anything, in price. They used to be 50, now to 60 is the baseline price, looking at maybe 70 in the future. And and like the level of quality is just not there.
No.
It's frustrating.
It's very frustrating, and it's like the AAA games are going backwards. They just churning them out like Call of Duty. I said I wasn't going to buy Vanguard, and then the closer it came to release, I was like, "Oh, right, I've always bought Call of Duty. It's the one game a year I buy." I used to be the guy that would queue up outside Game at midnight for the launch. I'd book 2 days off work with holiday to play Call of Duty on release date, and never ever will I do it again.
Yeah.
I can't see me buying the next one. I'll wait 7-8 months and then pick it up second hand in game on a pre-used, and then I'll have a look then, maybe. But
yeah,
I think I burned out on Call of Duty anyway. I was playing it. I've been playing it for years and years, and not that much has changed. And then when they did change stuff, nobody liked it. So, "Oh, they've got wall running in it." Well, yeah, because everyone was complaining. Call of Duty hasn't changed. I love the wall running and the double jumping because it changed it up for me. But can't please everyone, I suppose.
No. But like you said, but because then there's games that come out on release, and there's very little, at least major bugs. Like, I mean, example at the moment is the Elden Ring game. Everyone's talking about it, obviously. Very little criticism thrown at it. Apparently, it came out and released. Okay, I'm sure there were some bugs, but no one's complaining about it because it was ready. It was cooked and ready to be delivered out to all the customers.
Yeah.
So it can be done.
It can be done. I mean, Cyberpunk it's not, they've released it, and it's not even the game they told us it was going to be. You were meant to be able to upgrade, and I can remember all these blade arms and stuff, and wall running, and none of that is even in the game. It was false advertising.
Yeah.
They built it up to be a game that it's not. It's going to have the best AI. No, it's not. You walk around the corner and lose line of sight from the AI and then walk back. It resets. You can watch the AI. I don't know if they fixed it now, but I've got no interest in it now because I spent 60 quid on a game that didn't work.
Yeah, there's that feeling of being like you've been burnt once, type of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, when I spend that money, I want it to work. I want it to come out of the box and it to work straight away. If you bought anything else in life that didn't work out of the box, you'd send it back.
Yeah.
and a lot of people did send it back.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it doesn't work like that in any other industry. Like, you can have like a movie, you can say I didn't like the movie, but you can't have an incomplete movie released.
No, and that mostly comes down to personal choice. So, some movies are just bad movies, but even then, you can enjoy yourself. It's a complete thing, and Batman and Robin, one of the worst films I ever made, but I can still watch that and laugh at it and be like, do you know what? As a kid, I loved this, so
yeah, no, exactly.
it was complete. Everything was there. It was just badly written. It wasn't incomplete or broken, or which a lot of these games are, and it's sad. And people still buy the games, so they'll keep releasing broken games that are not working.
Yeah,
and it's sad, especially when you look at what the indie game developers are doing.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like the early access beta scene? Because they release the game, you can buy early access, and then they patch it as it goes along, don't they?
Yeah, and you know exactly what you're getting there. You're getting Phasmophobia is still in beta testing. It's not the released full game. I paid £6 for it a year and a half, 2 years ago. Played it once or twice. Was like, it's not for me. Left it just on the hard drive, didn't play it, and now I play it every day. But I knew what I was getting into with that. It is, it's this price because it's not the release, it's not finished. It's testing, and that I like. And there's better games and there's better care because of this alpha testing, beta testing, and all the rest of it. And when you've got a game with as big a community as Phasmophobia does, a game with they're constantly updating it and changing it, and it keeps you invested and hooked into it, and you paid under £10 for that, well, yeah, sign me up. If I play a game that's rubbish, but I've only paid £6 for it, then, I've only paid £6 for it. It don't matter. When I've paid 60, I want it to be a life-changing experience, and I'm not getting that.
Yeah.
What was the other? There was another one that's due out, and I'm like, I want to play that. Evil Dead.
Oh yeah.
I love the Evil Dead movies. I'm a horror nerd. One of my favorite horror movies is Evil Dead 2. I really want to play it, and then when I looked at it, I was like, it's Dead by Daylight, but with the skin of a game. Just the skin of a movie that I like. So I probably same with the Friday the 13th game. Yeah. I love horror movies, but I don't enjoy the games because it's that Dead by Daylight thing. I mean, I know people love those games, just they're not for me. But again, they're still cheaper. They're cheaper games that are they're not fully fleshed out when they're given to you or you purchase them. And then the other games like Summer of '58, that game cost me about £6, maybe less, and people were refunding that game because it was less than 2 hours long. And I'm like, they've put the developer out of business.
Yeah.
And it was so sad because it was such a good game. It was almost a playable movie. It's the scariest game I've ever played.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's such a shame that guy can't make anymore because I've played the 4 games that he made and they were brilliant, absolutely perfect horror games. I absolutely loved them, and because people abused a loophole, the guy can't make games anymore. Sad, very sad.
100%. Yeah, Emeka Games, I think he wasn't he? Summer 58. Yeah. So scary, so scary. Loved that game.
That was the game I pulled my back playing it because I jumped so hard. Yeah,
it's not funny.
The bit with the stuff stripping down off the ceiling.
Yeah,
you look up and that thing is sat there and jumps. So yeah, I jumped so hard I pulled my back.
Oh my god. Oh god. Yeah, I've not played his other games, but Summer 58 I played. In fact, like you said, when he was saying that people are refunding the game because it was less than 2 hours long, I purchased it because I watched a lot of horror streamers play it. I loved it. But because I'd seen people play it, I wasn't planning on buying it. But then when I saw what happened to him, I thought, screw this, I'm buying it because I want to support him.
I'd never heard of it, and then I saw all the stuff on Twitter about it, and I was like, all right. And I just bought his collection of games. I bought the 4 of them, or 3 of them, whatever it is. Wrote really good reviews for them before I'd even turned them on, just because I felt sorry for the guy.
Yeah.
And then when I actually played Summer of 58, I was like, holy shit. This is something else. I was genuinely fearful the entire playtime of that game. It was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. That and Visage.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's talk about Visage then, because again, that's another fantastic game. Yeah. What were your memories of that? Oh, what a game.
Yeah, that's how I met Charlie, was Visage.
Hey, shout out to Charlie Beelzebub. Wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I was working night shifts and just trawling through Twitch looking for somebody to watch, and I was playing Visage at the time. And it was never a big game, and it should have been. It should have been a lot bigger than it was. Saw Charlie, and it was literally, I think it was his second stream, and there was just me, him, and Amber in his chat.
Hey.
And I think I was like 6 hours he streamed that night, and I was there for all 6 hours, and then just instantly sort of struck up a friendship through that game, and then obviously a love of horror, and then we both metalheads and all the rest of it, and obviously he invited me into the Nightbreed, introduced me to all you guys. Absolutely incredible guy, and all because of an indie horror game that a lot of people didn't like.
Yeah. Well, it's the closest we ever got to like a PT game, isn't it? Because again, did you play PT or watch PT? But we never got the game, and then so many people try to make PT light, should we say?
Resident Evil 7. The initial gameplay on that was PT. It was, and Visage was the closest we ever got to it. That game was fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think of my favorite part. I can't even think. There's so many. It's such a great game. But yeah, no, I never played through Visage myself. I was going to stream it myself, but my computer couldn't handle it. I had a crap computer at the time, but so I ended up watching everyone else play it, and yeah, it's so good, so good. Yeah,
the Dolores chapter for me was that was the one. The one in the hospital, that chapter with Raikou or whatever his name was. I didn't enjoy that as much. Still a good game, but there was just something about that creepy naked old woman running around that house.
Yeah.
The mirror, when she runs at the mirror and flattens the mirror. That,
yes,
I've seen so many people leap out of the chairs. Yeah, Charlie was playing it, and like me, Charlie was getting really frustrated. He's like, "There's no instructions, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Where's the puzzles?" And he was like, it was so just dropped in and not know it, and there's just the weird noises in the background, the ambient noise of the house. It was just so unsettling. I absolutely loved that game, and I'm probably going to stream it again and play it from the beginning.
Oh, nice!
Just because of how much I like that, and I know what I'm setting myself up for, because it was one of the most frustrating games I've ever played.
That was what I was about to get to, is that despite all the greatness about it, I suppose that's probably the one thing I will say, is that, like, I remember seeing some people, like, they had to, like, zoom the camera in a certain way just to progress the game at certain times.
Yeah.
There's those little subtle situations, really.
Yeah, there was a bit on the Dolores chapter, and if I went to do it now, I wouldn't remember how to do it, and it was just paintings, and you had to hang paintings on a wall in a certain order to unlock a door, but there was no clue as to how to do it. I was in there for hours trying to get that, and I nearly stopped and deleted it. And then when Charlie played it like a week or two after me, and I met Charlie that night, he was on the same bit. And I was like, I've done it, but I can't tell you how to do it, because it made no sense.
Yeah. I remember watching another Comic Welshie playing Visage a few months ago, and he was having the same experience. Oh, man. Did you ever... Sorry. Yeah,
Comic got really frustrated with that. I don't think he ever finished it.
Oh, man. Did you ever play a game called Infliction?
Yes, I did.
That was good.
I hated it.
Oh, never mind.
No. I don't know what it was. I think it's because the ghost looked so derpy.
Yes. There's that. Yeah.
It was hard to be scared of something that looked that fake. It was like a plastic. I don't know. It just didn't look right to me. And maybe I need to go back to it. But I remember wandering down this corridor, and you had to open doors, and you died from opening doors because there was something behind the doors, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. And I was just like, I can't play this game.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, what I like about Infliction, I won't spoil it, is the ending. The ending was really quite good. The ending really reminded me a lot of like the David Cronenberg films, like, you know, like The Thing and stuff like that. There was that certain
I've actually seen the ending of it because I watched. I can't even remember who it was. I watched a streamer playing it, and the end of it, and like the nods to all the other movies, all the movies like the Hellraiser nods and
Yes.
stuff. I was like, ah, right, yeah. But as for me, I enjoyed watching somebody else play it, but for me playing it myself, I just couldn't.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't for me.
But
I might go back to it. I should go back to it.
whatever horror games have you enjoyed over the years? Then, like past or present.
Um, Resident Evil, all of them, bar 6. I hated that game.
Yeah.
Silent Hill games, I absolutely adored the Silent Hill games, and I'd love to replay them. Horror games now, I enjoy. I actually enjoy Devour. I looked at other people playing it, I was like, nah, that's not for me. But I really enjoyed it when I played it, and it is terrifying. Even though still a little derpy looking thing, but the sound design is really good on it. They've cleaned it up a bit. Um, Pacify was another one that scared the shit out of me. I was in the cupboard under the stairs. The clip is one of my most popular clips. Mrs. Geek's got a doll that lifts his own head off and sings creepy music, but it looks like the doll's in Pacify.
Oh God.
And while I'm playing it, she put it in front of my face. And oh my! I took off out of the chair, screamed, and
God.
but then I like there was an Ash or a Evil Dead game years ago on the PlayStation 2, and I loved that game. I can't remember what it was called. There was a Vortex is in it, and
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called.
I think it was on the PlayStation 1, maybe. I think it might have been called like Brimstone or Boomstick or something like that, maybe.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, loved that game. Resident Evil games, I was massively into them. I remember the first one with that zombie head turn,
Yeah.
and I was sold. First horror game I'd ever played, and I think that's where my love of horror gaming came from. Was that head turn? It was. I mean, you look at it now, and it doesn't look that great, but back then it was terrifying. And then there was the dogs through the windows,
Yes.
and then obviously Silent Hill. I mean, Silent Hill is probably my favorite franchise I've ever played. I absolutely adored the Silent Hill games, and I love watching people play them now. I watched Brutal Sue play through them. Absolutely love those games.
Yeah. Great games. Awesome, man. Awesome. So, what made you think about streaming then? Where was the journey from being a gamer really into a streamer?
Because I quit music. I was a musician before streaming. And I always said that I'd stop. Like to put it, basically, I was in the local music scene. The local music scene bred some huge bands, and through the years, I've been associated with these huge bands. Some of them still going now, are still massive. Bullet for Valentine being, I'm friends with the guys in the band, or 3 of the guys in the band.
Nice.
There's another really famous band from the Welsh Valleys that we won't mention, but
Okay,
I knew those guys, and but I was like every band I wasn't a great vocalist by any stretch, but I was always pushing my bands like I was the best vocalist, and I was gonna make it like my friends had made it. It was all a pipe dream, but if you don't have dreams, then. But I always said, even from an early days, I never want to get to the point where I'm like, what's his name, Axl Rose, where you've got too old for it, you can't sing anymore, you can't perform anymore. I mean, maybe you can now, but I've watched a lot of the older guys, and I'm like, right, I'm 40, I'm stopping, and that'll be the end of it. I got to about 3 years ago, I was playing in a punk band, despite the fact that I don't like punk music. And we were doing quite well. We were touring, and we were getting put on shows everywhere. And I remember coming back from the last tour we did, and I was like, I'm done with music. I'm not enjoying myself anymore. So I quit music. I started then to go into my art because I can draw. And I started selling some of my art. I was taking them to like motorcycle rallies and stuff, and selling them on there, selling them online. And then I was just like, it's creative, but it's not what I wanted to do. It was me in a locked room by myself creating something and then giving it to someone never to see it. Just wasn't scratching that itch for me. And then obviously Mrs. Geek was just like, "You're doing my head in. You need to get back in a band." I was like, "I've got no desire." Like the actual playing a show, I love it. The traveling, the setting up, the packing down, none of that. I was just like, I'm done with it. And then I started to struggle with writing stuff because my heart wasn't in it. I'm like, this is just garbage. I'm just churning out garbage, and so I stopped earlier than I planned. And then I discovered Tim the Tatman on YouTube. I had no idea what Twitch was. Never heard of it. Never watched a streamer. I watched him playing. It wasn't even Warzone because Warzone wasn't out. I can't remember. It was a Call of Duty game or a shooting in Fortnite. I watched him playing Fortnite, and I was like, I didn't like the idea of Fortnite. Didn't like the game, but I liked Tim the Tatman, and I still watch him now, even though I'm done with shooting games. I'll still watch him because I find him really entertaining. Lockdown and all the rest of it happened. I got furloughed, and I still didn't stream. And then Chinchy Gamer was streaming. I was watching his streams. And then he was like, "Oh, I'll help you set it up, but you should stream." I was like, "Nobody's going to want to watch me play video games." And he was like, "Why? You're a front man. You can hold an audience. We've all seen you do it. And, you're a funny guy. Just give it a go." And I went back into work. I was working 12 hours, Monday to Friday, and then streaming on a Saturday morning for a couple of hours. I didn't have a webcam. I didn't have my voice coming through. I was just literally playing Team Deathmatch, Call of Duty to 2 or 3 people. And then, well, something changed along the way. Bought a webcam. Still didn't have a mic or anything. Didn't have a PC. He was streaming directly through the Xbox, so he was not the greatest looking thing. Then I moved under the stairs and borrowed a PC off my son, his old one, that barely held together for the stream. And then we ended up buying. Well, I bought the monster next to me, and yeah, I never set out to be a streamer. I just did it as a hobby. I was like, actually, I'm quite enjoying this. I'm quite enjoying being able to game and interact with people and stuff. Yeah, I'll get a webcam. And then as soon as that webcam went on, something just sparked in me. I'm like, actually, I can be creative here. My YouTube channel for the collecting was just, it was costing me so. I mean, all this stuff cost me so much money, and I'm like, I've been furloughed, and now I just can't afford to be doing it. I've got no room left. I moved into this massive room and I filled it, and I was just like, I've got to have that creative output, and then streaming is my creative output now.
Yeah.
And whereas with music, I was like, I want to be done by a certain age. With streaming, I'm like, I don't want to be done with this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's a fascinating story though, in terms of the fact that, like you said, you were a front man, you could hold a crowd, you could hold an audience, and even though it's virtual and you can't see your audience, there are so many intrinsic qualities that are still transferred to this, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's the social aspect of it, because when I stopped playing music, I stopped going out. I stopped going to pubs and clubs. I even stopped going to watch bands for a long time. I was just done with music totally. And then the streaming sort of thing was my replacement for it, because I was meeting people like I met when I was touring. I was meeting people from all over the UK and now all over the world, and it was just a perfect fit for my creativity to come out, and to I suppose I'm an attention seeker, and it was the attention, it was the friendships I've made. People like Charlie and yourself, D Cannon, all these people I'd never have ever have had a chance to meet, and legitimately the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's through playing video games. I mean, to me, the video games are secondary. It's more the social aspect of it.
Yeah.
And, I think the only thing I've changed now is I'm actively trying to play Phasmophobia properly and be a good player at it, and I'm getting there. But I can still read, I can still talk to chat, I can still interact. I've met new people since, and the community's growing, and we've got the Discord, and then Mrs. Geek has made friends with people through it, and we got married last year. and 3 people from Twitch came to our wedding.
Yeah.
And that they would have been 4, but obviously lockdowns and all the rest of it restricted it. But it's incredible that we could, us as streamers, could make friends and grow these communities. But then even if you away from that, it's just I don't know. I struggling without to put it, but I've met friends for life basically through a digital media.
Yeah,
it's insane. I've made friends for life through music, but there should be a competition with it. I should be in competition with Charlie. I should be like, for a long time Charlie overtook me and was doing far better than me, and I should have been sat there going, oh, why is he? Well, because he worked at it. But instead, I'm sat there like, yeah, look at him go! Like I was there when there was only me, him, and Amber in his chat.
Yeah.
And to watch people grow in, and like some people message me and they're like, oh, if it wasn't for your stream, depression, lockdown, I couldn't go out, I couldn't do this, and to know we've made a difference to people's lives. Absolutely. And maybe potentially stopped them doing something they would have regretted. There's something to be said for that. The entertainment is almost secondary to like the help and the feeling we give people. People genuinely excited to watch us. Whether if you're sat there as a streamer with 3 people, don't be disheartened that there's only 3 people watching you. Be so happy that with 9 million streamers, those 3 people have chose to sit there and watch you for however many hours and get to know you, and absolutely incredible. And I couldn't be happier with it. Even if I was still a 7 viewer average, I'd still be streaming on my days off because I love streaming.
Yeah.
I like I love video games. I've always loved video games, but streaming has sort of reignited my passion for video games, and sort of I'll never go back to music now, and it's definitely replaced that. And mentally, I'm in a better place because of streaming, and I know it's helped people that are viewing, it's helped people that are streaming. I know some people got really stressed with it, but that's you've got to work out whether it's good for you or not. It's really, really good for me.
Yeah, brilliant. And like you said, though, there's that camaraderie, isn't there, with streamers, and it's very similar to music. And another thing I think it's similar to is like stand-up comedy. Like I know a lot of stand-up comedians, and they uplift each other. Yes, fine. Yeah. They're all trying to get the same tickets sold or whatever. Same as music, but same as streamers, we're all trying to get the same viewers almost, or different viewers. But we all lift each other up. We all support each other, and hopefully, we're all winning together. That's what I love about it, for sure.
Yeah, and there's not much out there that does that.
No.
This. And I'm not just saying streaming, I'm saying Twitch. Twitch is a different world.
Yes.
YouTube streaming doesn't seem to have the community and the love and the support that... I mean, I don't think it's what Twitch are doing, it's what Twitch streamers are doing. They've created their own pocket of the world for outcasts, rebels, and, geeks, freaks, whatever. And it's a very safe place for people. I mean, there's obviously hate raids and stuff. You're going to get that everywhere.
Yeah.
But for the majority of it, everyone is so supportive. And, there's people in my community from all over the world, all walks of life. I mean, we've got every aspect of life you can ever think of. We've got these people. We've got physically disabled people, mentally disabled people in my chat. We've got post-op transsexual in the chat, a very big part of our community. And that's amazing that these people might not ever have met, and people can learn from it.
Yeah.
People can learn about mental health. We're all big advocates for mental health. We've all done mental health streams, and we've all raised a fuckload of money.
Yes.
For very, very good charities. So I can't fault any of it. And I don't see that happening on YouTube and Facebook gaming, not to the degree that it does on Twitch, and for that's the reason I'll never change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about Phasmo, and let's talk about just general streaming. So what are your favourite memories over the last year? Well, how long have you been streaming for? A year and a half, did you say?
It'll be 2 years in September.
Wow, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite memory of streaming. It's going to be Nuzguard raiding me. That was massive because when I wanted to learn to play Phasmophobia properly, it was Nuzguard's videos I was watching.
Yes.
Him and Insim. Um, and then I saw the raid alert go off, and then I've never seen my chat do anything like that before, and I was like, "Holy shit, there is 600 people in here!"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then when I saw that it was Nuzguard, I was like, "Wow,
yeah,
the
yeah,
guy that I've been watching for 6 months to try and get a grasp on this game and how to play it properly has just trusted his community with me." And a lot of his viewers are still in my channel. They come in every day without fail, and that moment um, was incredible. And then he raided me a second time, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh
And the
right,
second
yeah.
time he did it, it was more people again. And I'm sat here. I've never had nerves or stage fright or anything. That second raid when he dropped that on me, my hand started shaking and I couldn't control my mouse. And I was just like, shit, I've never. No matter how big a crowd I've played to or smaller crowd I've played to, I have never ever froze. And I froze that day. And but it's one of my favorite memories because somebody that I look up to, and he's my peer,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at it and I'm like, this guy has trusted me not once but twice. He's messaged me and said, look, I want to get you in some games and I'm going to help you grow your community. And wow, like,
Yeah.
he's the second biggest guy on Twitch for Phasmophobia, and that's incredible. He's such a nice man as well. He comes across so well on stream, and the way he talks off stream and stuff, just very supportive, very, very nice man
Yeah.
who doesn't have to do anything for anyone at this point. He's a Twitch partner. He makes money. I don't know what he makes. I don't want to know, but he's a very nice man that is a lot of other streamers could learn from. There are some streamers up there around his sort of viewership level that don't even read the chat, and I'm like, I'm not watching that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Very good point. But that's incredible. I remember the first time that happened as I saw it. I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was almost like after I nearly quit streaming in January. I was burnt on Warzone, and I was just like, I'm putting all this time in. I'm watching my viewing figures drop, and everyone's had it. I'm sure they have. I was watching the viewing figures drop, and then I started watching my VODs back to try and make TikToks and YouTube videos, and I was just like, I'm an asshole. I genuinely dislike what I'm watching. I'm a miserable, angry, horrible prick of a man, and I'm like, right, I'm done with it. And my wife was like, "You're not done with it. You just need to find something else." She's like, You're a horror guy. Play horror." I was like, "Yeah, I've tried it, and it's the viewing figure." I was like, "All right, do you know what? I'll try it. And if it scraps the channel, but I'm enjoying myself, then so be it." And it had the exact. I genuinely thought I was going to kill my sort of 7 to 10 viewer average, and now I'm sat at 40 average viewers because I'm playing something that I love to play. And that's the biggest bit of advice I'll give anyone that's going to start streaming. Play a game you love to play, no matter what it is. Play what you love to play, not what you think people are going to watch.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think I'd get a Phasmophobia community. Those guys are already there. But no, if you've got a love for the game, especially if you're learning something as well, because people will come in and try and help you, and not so much backseat, but advise you on it. And people they jump streams to help people get started on these games. And the horror community is incredible on Twitch. It's the friendliest and most accepting. But the Phasmo community, as part of that, is something else. It doesn't seem to be a competition or any sort of toxicity, or at least not anyone I've watched. I've been told there's toxicity out there, but I've not seen it. And that speaks volumes about the horror community and the Phasmo community.
Excellent. Wow. So, I mean, yeah, I've only got one final question. I was about to ask you, what advice would you give to anyone? You've already answered that. So, just one final question for me then, which is, I mean, what's the future? What's the future looking like for you on streaming, on Twitch?
People keep mentioning the partner push, and I've laughed it off every time until the last 2-3 weeks, and I'm like, this could happen. But I'm not going to be like all stressing about it and putting everything into all my eggs in one basket, because chances are my viewership could start to drop again. But my aim, I've never lied about it since I've been taking it seriously. My aim is to do this full time. If I can do this to a point where I don't have to go and, do the work that I do, which is, my job isn't great, and the chances of me getting assaulted and stuff are higher than most people's sort of jobs. If I can come away from that, or even if I can still do that 4 on 4 off, stream 4 on 4 off, and then my wife not have to go out to work, that's where I see it going, or that's where I want it to go. I don't want to be the biggest streamer on Twitch. I don't want to be a millionaire. But if I could do this and earn a decent living, if I could replace my earnings from work with Twitch, then I'd do that for the next 10 years and absolutely love my life. Nobody loves the job. I mean, the COVID testing centre I worked on, I loved that job. I actually really enjoyed it. But even then, I'm stood there with people I like, and I'm like, I want to go home and stream.
Yeah.
It's even with music, I had days where I was like, I don't want to practice, I don't want to tune guitars, I don't want to restring guitars, I don't want to carry all that stuff. With streaming, apart from that little wobble I had in January, there's not a day where I'm sat at my computer 2 hours before my stream sometimes, and I'm like,
yeah,
I could just go live, but nobody's awake. But I absolutely love streaming. I love the community building. I love the people I've met, the friends I've made through it. At some point, to be able to sit down in the same place as people like yourself and Charlie, and then guys that you haven't met that are in my stream, and guys in your stream that I haven't met, and just at some point, all of us be able to be like, there's a beer, clink the glasses, and be like, it's amazing. And yeah, the friendships I've made through it have been something else. I absolutely love it, and if I could do it as a living, as a job, I wouldn't call it a job.
Yeah,
because I enjoy it too much,
Exactly, man. Yeah, dude. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the end of the chat, my friend. Just one more final time. Would you like to just plug where we can find you on your socials, etc.?
Right. So I should have written these down really, but it's twitch.tv/BeardedGeekLive. I do have a YouTube channel, but I can't for the life of me remember what it is. Bearded Geek Content Creation. I haven't been pushing that much because I'm gonna take all the Twitch advice off there, and I'm just gonna go down horror, indie, and Phasmophobia stuff. I'm gonna turn it into walkthroughs, playthroughs, updates, and stuff like that. I've got Twitter at 667geek. I've got TikToks and stuff, but don't bother with them. That app, I don't like it anymore. To get anywhere, you've got to mime really badly or wear next to nothing. Not for me.
No.
No, and nobody needs to see me in a G-string.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you so much, mate. That was a fantastic
chat. Thank you for having
chat.
me on, bro. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Right, until the next episode, guys. Thank you. Take care, and bye-bye.